Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. We're your hosts. I'm Sybil Amuti.
And I'm Brandis Daniel.
And before we jump into this week's episode of the podcast, make sure you sign up for our newsletter at
thegreatgirlfriends.com.
And don't forget to leave us an amazing iTunes review.
Yes, that is the payment for listening to this podcast.
I love it. 5 stars all the way. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Are you struggling to get ahead in life? Are you tired of living a status quo, mediocre, average life? Is your life characterized by chaos, confusion, clutter, and disorder? Are you frustrated with the continuous cycle of defeat? Is your vision for your life bigger than how you're living right now? Are you living beneath the vision God has for you? Are you ready to step into your greatness and all that God has for you? If yes, join the Abundant Life Camp. ALC is a success and accountability group for women ready to step into the abundant life you desire. Abundant Life Camp. Visit the website at www.abundantlifecamp.com.
And I hope Sybil's going to be nice to me on this podcast, because before the podcast, she was giving me all kind of grief. So let's see.
Did I punch you in the thigh or did you punch me? Just so I'm clear. Y'all don't even understand. It gets real over here. But we're so glad you joined us, ladies. We have so much exciting conversation ready for you today, and we hope you're ready to join us. So, what's been going on? You just mentioned you were hungry. How's that whole thing going?
Oh my God.
You get hangry?
Okay, so here's the deal, guys. Before I became pregnant, I was already very grouchy when I got hungry. I'm from Memphis. Like, what do you want from me?
Fed.
Right. But this pregnancy thing, it's like on another level. Like, ladies out there who have been pregnant or you're pregnant now, you know when you're hungry, it's not like I'm hungry 30 minutes from now. It's like I'm hungry now. And that hunger brings out all kind of craziness. So anywho, after this podcast, I'm going to get me something to eat.
Good. What you gonna get? We're in Harlem, guys. We're recording live in Harlem World, so there's all kind of good soul food over here.
I don't know. Well, I have to go up to my friend's house. She lives in Westchester, and they're doing a cookout there, so I'm gonna go there right after this. Like, hopefully they've got some good food there. But they are known for having meat and no sides.
Oh.
So I might need to stop by the grocery store and bring my own sides.
Can you do that?
BYOS. Bring your own sides.
No sides. No. You're not gonna make it to Westchester with this attitude. You're gonna Rich. When you get her in the car, you swing her by a drive-through real quick. Let her get something to eat.
I know. Oh Lord, what's been going on with you, Miss Sybil?
Oh, today I actually had 2 back-to-back lunches at the same place.
Are you serious?
That tends to happen to me
Hilarious.
a lot. Both were paid for. Amen.
Nice.
Love it. Yes.
Love it.
But I had lunch with a friend of mine Seema Alexander, who's an amazing business coach and woman and leader, and she's a Kickstarter in every way. And an intern who's actually a girl that I've seen grow up, and she's now at Wharton, and she's killing it over there. And then I had my second lunch, or my after lunch, that's what I'm going to call that one, was with the program director over at Covenant House, where I love to volunteer. And so today was all about me adding value.
Oh, great.
Yeah. How can I add value? What can I do to help grow the next person as best as possible? So that was my morning, and then I got to hook up with your crazy butt.
But you know what? That actually ties in nicely to our topic.
It does.
I know that was not the intention.
It was not even intentional, but it actually is.
It really does.
So, I mean, really quickly, just to recap on our last podcast, which was absolutely amazing. If you didn't listen, we want to urge you to go back and check out our last podcast where we discussed how to deal with disappointments. And the top 3 things you should do when you're facing disappointment. And Brandis really laid out some very practical steps that helped me out for sure. And her homework was to practice those steps and then come to this podcast and let us know how she dealt with the disappointment that she was facing, whether or not her own medicine worked. So Brandis, tell us really quickly. Did it work?
It's working.
It's working. Yes. Good. So what step do you need to take advantage of to make it like fully work? You need to put in perspective. You need to forgive. You need to move forward.
I need to regroup.
You need to regroup.
I need to regroup.
You probably need to eat.
I need to eat.
That hanger is
I need to eat.
That hanger is real.
I'm over here punching Sybil in her thigh.
She needs to regroup. That's short and pregnant for I need to eat, and then it'll be okay.
I need to regroup.
No, but that's awesome. And we got some really great feedback from listeners who have dealt with their own disappointment.
Thank you guys so much for letting us into your world.
Yes, and I think people agree with you about putting things in perspective and really figuring out how to respond, if any way. That was a big takeaway that I felt was strong and resonated with all of our great girlfriends. So anyway, back into today. We're going to be discussing how to build valuable business relationships. I mean, a lot of the things, Brandis, a lot of the things that you do to build your personal relationships spill over into your business. But I think from an entrepreneurial standpoint, we need to really help our young girlfriends understand how to kickstart the right relationships, to target the right people, how to make those relationships grow and be valuable, and how to keep them as lifelong relationships.
Absolutely. I mean,
you do it well, girl.
You know what? I started from scratch, and so I had to build relationships. I mean, coming from Memphis, moving to New York, not knowing really anyone here, and starting a business, I didn't have any relationships. So I really had to start from the ground up and kind of figure out how do I be creative to even get these people's attention.
No, that's true. I mean,
and you built incredible relationships that we just spoke about.
And it was a long road to me discovering how to do it my way.
Right.
Because I was building relationships the way everyone else said. And then honestly, you and I come from a different era,
right?
Where you were building relationships door by door, handshaking, physically going out and connecting with people.
Yes.
So, we've had to go from that and moving into digital, where our millennials sit and everything's on social, and you're connecting and building businesses off of social and websites.
Absolutely.
And, Facebook, and that's something that adaptation was something that we really had to move into, so that we can keep ourselves connected and relevant and understand how to reach people the right way. For me, this topic is very important right now because I built a lot of relationships under the umbrella of a company that I was with for so long. And so a lot of those relationships, as I left that company, I wasn't sure where those relationships would go.
Got it.
And I felt like a kid, almost like I'm starting brand new in the business world with my own name, my own entity, my own identity.
And, but I don't think the relationships are cut off, though. I agree. I think when you build real relationships, I don't care what company you're at. That person don't care what company you're at either. Like those relationships. That's why people go. That's why people follow people from company to company, because it's about the person, not the company.
Yeah, but it's a scary space, not knowing for sure until someone calls or emails, and you're like, yes. We still cool. I still got that relationship that I worked really hard to build.
Right.
And
but Sybil, guys, have amazing relationships.
Thank you.
When I think about where I'm going next in my life and my career, I'm going to be looking to her to give me some advice on how do you build a relationship with billionaires, because I don't have any billionaires in my corner or that I know personally, but Sybil does. And so
make me sound like a baller.
Well, you do. You know plenty of billionaires and that's where I want to go. And so you've been able to build those relationships, which I think is incredible.
It's been good, and I think for all of you that live in the digital world, you guys might not like what I'm going to say right now, but when you live in that digital space, all of our millennial friends and family out there, it's very easy to get comfortable with the distance that you can create. You create social connectivity online, but being able to do things in a very tactical, tangible way where you can network in the right way and build relationships that are sustainable and stick. And also build relationships across generations where if you want to get a relationship with a great mentor or someone who is an executive at a level you aspire to get to, it may not happen on social. You might have to go to coffee, and you might have to, really go send a note and actually do some of those old, what people would consider old school tactics to catch their attention. Yeah. And I will never forget, Brandis, when you were in the early years of HFR and you were targeting, I don't want to get off topic here, but I remember some of the tactics that you use to target
absolutely.
a specific woman who has now been in your corner for like 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah.
And has been very instrumental in helping you to grow your brand.
Yeah.
So, we're about to dive into this right now, but ladies, I think you'll understand, building these business relationships, is about having people in your corner that can represent you and support you no matter, like you said, no matter what company you're at, but represent your caliber of a woman, your character, your value, and whatever it is that you're building, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what kind of, I guess, relationships right now do you think our audience might be struggling with or trying to figure out like how to build valuable relationships, I guess in their lives at this point?
That's a great question. Some of the feedback and conversation that I've been hearing from our audience, you girlfriends out there, about building business relationships is, how do you even start them? How do you reach a person that you aspire to know without being, shaky, nervous, intimidated?
Right.
How do you say the right thing? Because people get, stuttery. Listen, y'all. I've been in public and people have seen Brandis, and one girl told me how oh my God, I followed her on social, and she said for years she watched. Am I lying? Am I lying? A photographer. Am I lying?
You're not lying.
Okay. She watched for years, and she waited and prepped for the right moment to approach Brandis to make sure that she was prepared, because she knew that Brandis was a certain caliber of woman. So it let me know, and it let Brandis let you know that a lot of times people are so intimidated by the stature of a person, or the or the inferiority.
Which is so crazy to me, because anybody who knows me know that I am the most approachable person ever, or at least I think I am.
She was watching you from social.
Yes,
and from social, she built this idea of the type of woman that you are.
That's true.
And and that happens a lot.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Happens a lot.
I think too, a lot of women out there who are looking for mentors and who are looking for people who can guide them and trying to figure out, like, how do I actually approach that particular woman or that man? I think that's a concern for some of our listeners out there as they're kind of building their businesses, and as they're kind of rising the ranks in corporate, they're trying to figure out, like, how do I have someone who can help to guide me and take me to the next level?
Yes. I wanted to, Brandis, talk to you a little bit about, as you're establishing a relationship, as you're identifying, where you want to go and who you want to speak to, how do you establish yourself as a person that people would even want to know?
That's interesting. I'll tell you how I've done it.
Okay.
Right. So when I first started Harlem's Fashion Row, no one knew who I was. You put the name Harlem and fashion together, and people are already side-eyeing me. Right. And not that, like, Harlem is not a fashionable place. It's a really fashionable place. But you're talking,
not at that time.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
Harlem didn't have the cachet that it has today. I hate the word cachet. Why did I just say
that's
that?
An appropriate
but it did not
word.
have the cachet that it has today. So you put those things together, and people have all kind of thoughts running through their heads.
Yeah.
And the way that I built relationships was I really targeted specific people. So I had like 4 people on my hit list every year. And it was like, these are the 4 people that I want to build relationships with in fashion. And the way that I figured out who those people were, they were people I had read about in magazines. They were people who I knew were very influential in fashion. They were people who I knew were highly respected in this industry. And my biggest thing is always, I want to do something that nobody else is going to do.
We'll be right back after these messages. Hey, great girlfriends, we're inviting you to join us for the 2019 Doers and Disruptors Conference, June 13th through the 15th in New York City. This 3-day event includes exciting receptions, life-changing panels, incredible mastermind groups, connections, and more. This year, we had over 100 great girlfriends from around the world connect with like-minded women and create incredible memories. Now, it's your turn to be a part of this exclusive event. Visit our website, www.thegreatgirlfriendsconference.com, to grab an early bird ticket for yourself and your greatest girlfriend. We cannot wait to see you there.
What's up, great girlfriends? It's Sybil here, and this pod mama has a pod baby. That's right, the Grace Podcast, which is a spiritual development podcast dedicated to helping you grow in your relationship with God through the Word of God. Listen in each week as we take your life, plug it into scriptures, and refresh it with biblical insights to make you more bold and brave each day. You can log on to my website, SybilAmoody.com, to catch up on the most recent episodes and leave your iTunes review. Thank you for listening.
And what's funny is that's so easy to do because everybody does the same thing. They send you an email.
Yeah.
And so it's really quite easy to stand out.
But what do you say in that subject line?
So I usually do send an initial email, introduction, just want to introduce myself, right?
Okay.
In the subject line, it's like, introduction to Harlem's Fashion Row, or hi, so-and-so. I always try to put the person's name in the subject.
Great.
So that they know that it's not like some general email.
It's
so
personal.
I would say, hi, Sybil, would like to introduce you to HFR, right? And then I'll introduce myself in the email. But that to me is like, I don't even consider that like my real introduction. That's like baseline for me. And then I would do something very specific for that person. So I would find out when their birthday was. I would find out what their favorite color is. And I would do different things. So for example, Audrey Smaltz was my very first advisory board member, but she didn't know me. And so I remember introducing myself to her, and you know, she was kind of like, you know, really nice to me, but at the same time, like, she didn't know me. But she was very nice and very open. And I wanted her to come to my very first fashion show. Well, she couldn't come because she said she had a board meeting that night, a condo board meeting. But I didn't know if she was just blowing me off or not. So I was like, okay, I need this woman to be at this fashion show. So I sent flowers. I sent her these beautiful flowers. And the flowers was like, I hope you reconsider coming to the fashion show. And so she did not come still, because she did have a board meeting officially. But she sent somebody from her office to come.
Wow.
And so they came, and they were able to report back to her. But what I did was, every single year on her birthday, I figured out that her favorite color was yellow. I sent her yellow flowers every year.
Love it.
During Christmas time, I sent her something for Christmas every single year. She was like that person who I was like, this is somebody who I'm going to sew into. And when I asked her to be on my advisory board, I was working a job, so I did have some money, but I pulled out all the stops. I sent her car service to go pick her up, to take her back.
Yes.
Like, all that. Like, it was, because I was just like, you know, it's worth the $200.
Yeah. If you were to wrap it into like one line, how do you think you established yourself as someone she would want to know?
I made myself someone who was very difficult to ignore.
Great. Oh my goodness, girlfriends. Did you hear that? Oh my drop on the girlfriends, Brandis. Make yourself someone that is difficult to ignore. Listen, let me tell you something, pocket that now, because that's gonna help you when you're dating. That's gonna help you when you're trying to get a job. That's gonna help you when you're making friendships. That's gonna help you in every realm. She said, dang, this girl got me down to the color of the flowers. How'd she know my birthday? Because this was pre-social, y'all. Social wasn't popping like that.
Right.
It was like,
no, I Googled
and
it.
she wasn't on social.
No.
So, yeah. So, well, that's great then, because all of you girls who are living on social, that information is so accessible these days. And now you can, I would Insta stalk. I would get on Instagram. Don't stalk to the point of like getting a charge. Don't get me wrong.
Exactly.
Let me change that. I wouldn't Insta stalk. I would Insta study.
Insta
Study. Bam! Can we lay it on them? You need to Insta study.
I love that.
Get on there and study. Find out what people's heartbeat really ties to. And for you figured out her birthday, her roses. You knew she needed car service. You were able to hone in on the type of woman, the elegance, the aura of her. That's where you met her, and it made it difficult to ignore you, girl.
Very difficult to ignore.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So ladies, and you can even hashtag that, if you are Insta studying, you want to really get into that detail, right?
Absolutely.
So that means you have to be outstanding.
You have to do
Can't
something.
be like
you
everyone
do
else.
Something that you have to do something that someone else won't do.
Yeah.
And
be willing to go far.
Yeah, and people, they send one email and they say, I never heard back from them. And that's it. And I even tell my interns, I'm like, you guys have to understand, they are getting tons of emails a day. So this email from this person that they don't know coming through, it is like the last on the list.
Yeah. I'll say in honesty, I've had people to email me, cold about a job or internship, and I saw it and I read it, and mentally I responded.
You mentally responded. I do the same thing.
Because it's not that I didn't take interest in that person or really admire the fact that they said it. Like you said, on the list of my priorities, that was not top. But when they follow up and when they hit my inbox early in the morning, when they're first on my inbox,
right,
then I'm on it because it reminds me of the thing. So like you said, I tell my interns, I have one who says, they never follow up. I mean, they never email me back. And I say, you never followed up either.
You have to
follow up is serious.
Follow up is everything.
Hello? If it was a check, you will follow up to get that check.
Follow up is everything, guys. Follow up is everything. I used to make it a rule when I would get business cards when I first started my business, and I am going to start back doing this. I have just committed myself to this. But when I used to get business cards, I would immediately send that person a card.
A
note card.
I do. Girl, because no one sends note cards anymore.
It makes all the difference.
And please take note, ladies, we're not talking email. We're talking a physical card to their actual office or home or whatever address they've sent you, but sending them an actual note card, handwritten, and with a pen. That says thank you and it was a pleasure to meet. I do it every time.
And put your business card in there.
Get it? Yes. God, I'm telling you, you better school me real quick. So make yourself difficult to ignore, and then you have to follow up. And you do follow up in a way that is very unique to the market. Meaning, no one's sending note cards. Everyone's emailing or texting. Shame on you for texting a new
Instagramming.
Shame on you.
Writing a comment on Instagram is not follow up.
Not follow up. Consider that a failure if that's your means of following up. It is about getting intimate, personal, and direct.
Yeah,
it is.
I think we should do something on chic follow-up.
Because the note card is important.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with women, I would say, especially with women. So tell me this. When you're looking to establish these new relationships, like you did with Miss Audrey, how did you know who to target?
I think you should target people you want to sit at the table with.
But how do you know you want to sit at the table with them?
So, because these women were at a place where I wanted to be.
Okay.
So they were, well established in fashion. She had already had a fashion show production company. Mm-hmm. I knew the relationships that she had and how well respected she was and what her word meant in the industry, right? Mm-hmm. And the influence that her word had in the industry. So, we all have this aspiration of being invited to a certain dinner table.
Absolutely.
Right? So there is always a dinner table that, you see something on Instagram, you see a dinner going on, you're like, dang it, I wish I was invited
right in that chair.
Yeah. And so, and I still have that. Like, you see certain things going on, you're like, dang it, I wish I was in that room. Or I wish somebody invited me to that event. Mm-hmm. Those are the people you build relationships with, the people who you want to sit at the table with, the people who you want, if you want to be invited to that particular dinner, and usually that's aspirational, right? You build relationships with those people that you want to sit at the table with.
When we had to do groundwork, we would be out networking and we, kind of get a sense of who was doing what. And we studied in magazines.
Right.
And, I would study in like industry magazines, like an Entrepreneur,
definitely.
Fast Inc. Or if it
Essence
was fashion,
magazine.
absolutely Essence. Yes. And Vogue and Harper's Bazaar. And I would go down the media page and I would take the names of the people that had positions that were interesting to me.
Wow.
I would. And I mean, this is how, listen, y'all, when I say you got to be targeted, like I think you really got to go in. I would take those names from that page and I would look at the email hanger to get the convention for the email. Mm-hmm. And I would take their first name or last name, or I would call and I would say, I'm trying to reach so-and-so and I lost their email. Do you mind giving me their email address? And most of the time, someone would give you an email address. Yeah. And once you get one email address, you pretty much have whoever else you need to find at that point.
Because they're all targeted.
They're all the same. So, I mean, that targeting, like you said, is very important to kind of have an aspirational list. I would write down, like, who are the people, what outlet, what my outcomes were from that relationship. That is really, really great. And visibly look at that, but make sure, I think it's important to make sure when you see yourself at a table to know why you're there.
Oh yeah. You know what, I was just thinking that. I said, dang it, you know what? Some people might want to be at a table just because they want to take
with the right people.
They want to take a photo with them.
Yeah.
Not that kind of table, guys.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about a table, with Kim Kardashian, and unless you want to do some business with her as a fan. I'm not talking about a table that you want to be at as a fan.
Yeah.
Or I'm talking about a table you want to be at as an equal.
Yes.
Where you aspire to be at as an equal. That's the table. That's who you go for.
I'm never feeding you before another podcast. You're going to be hangry from this day forward.
You so stupid.
Exactly. An equal.
Yes.
So a table where you want to sit across, look Kim in the eye if it's Kim or whoever it is, laugh with her as an equal.
Right.
Be able to pull cards as an equal on that meal at Mr. Chow or wherever you are.
Absolutely.
And be able to exchange from as thought leader to thought leader.
Yes.
I love that. That is so true. So it's important to assess your motives when you're targeting.
Absolutely.
Make sure that it's not just about being a fan, right? But
or getting that Instagram photo.
Yeah, but that you're elevating yourself as an equal so that you can create outcomes that are going to help each other. Okay, so you establish yourself as someone that people want to know, and you do that by making yourself difficult to ignore.
Right.
And then from there, you're targeting, you're being very specific about your outcomes so that you can establish yourself as an equal. But how do you know when to activate these relationships? Meaning, how do you know when to call on your relationships and for what? I've learned through some valleys and some mountains, so I want to know.
You know what? I believe in giving way more than I ask.
Yeah.
I actually heard this in a book, so I can't even take credit for this. I forgot. He called it I think, jab, 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 punch in this social media book. I can't even think of the name of it. But I'm like, give, ask.
Yes.
Give, ask.
Okay, come on, ladies. Give, ask. Do it with us. Give, ask. Boom.
It's you want to pour into these people. You want to have so much favor built up that by the time you ask for a favor, they are bending over backwards to figure out, how do I help you?
Yeah.
Because you've given and you've given and you've poured and you've poured and you've poured. And I think that's sometimes where it can go awry when you build a relationship and immediately upon building that relationship, you ask.
Yeah.
So, example, one of my interns recently met this really powerful woman at Black Enterprise.
Okay.
I wanted her to learn from her own mistakes, so I didn't stop her. But what she did was she asked this woman for tea. Well, that's a big ask.
That's huge. When
you're going to a huge executive who's very busy, who's very well connected, a really important person. We're all important, so I was very hesitant
Full
to saying that
calendars.
word. And asking them for physical time.
Yep.
That's a huge ask. And I don't think she realized that, but I wanted her to learn that lesson on her own. So she said, so the lady sent her the most beautiful response.
Awesome.
Basically, it was like, no, I'm not meeting you in person, but I really appreciate your assertiveness and all this stuff. So it was a really great email. But what I told her was, what do you do in response to that is now you knock her socks off.
Yeah.
So you have found out in that letter, she said, I really love tea. So I said, this is your opportunity to actually now pour into this woman monthly even. You can
Send her
discover
unique
new teas.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now you have her address. All you have to do is look up Black Enterprise Corporate Office.
Absolutely.
And now you send this woman tea. You can send her tea once a month, once a quarter with a cute note. I guarantee you she will never forget you.
Yeah.
And at some point, she's going to be asking you, let's just go out for tea.
Yeah.
Because you're going to wear her down.
Absolutely.
She can't ignore that.
So do you think that in terms of activating people or being able to call on them, is it when you've decided that there is a need for them on your end, meaning you've done all the giving that you think you're capable of doing and you feel like there's a place where you could plug them in? Or is it something where you just wait on them to ask you? What do you think? Some people will ask. Some people will say, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
Most won't.
Well, for me personally, building the relationship, even though I know eventually there will be some kind of way that this person can pour into me, right? I don't approach it that way though. I literally approach it like, this is somebody I want a relationship with, so I'm just gonna pour into them. And whenever the time is right for them to do something for me, it's right, but I just want them to know my name.
Yeah.
Right? I want them to be
great.
aware of me and what I'm doing. And I feel like whatever else comes from it will happen organically, but I don't usually go into it with the preconceived notion of an ask or something I'm going to ask them for.
What we deal with now is that patience is very important.
Patience is so important.
Yeah, because we're talking about really connecting with people who are at a different level than we are, maybe a more progressive level in career or whatever that be. But they have full calendars. More than likely, they have children. They have, a lot of social and a lot of philanthropic activities. They have a full life. So it's not that they don't see you. It's that their eyes are very focused on what it is they're actually doing.
Absolutely.
So being patient in that process is key, because at some point, if you continue, like you said, with the T's and with the notes and with just the literally giving part of it, there won't even be a need for an ask.
There won't be a need for an ask. And it's so funny because somebody who you and I both know, I remember when I first met her, and she is a very powerful, powerful woman in PR. When I met her, she asked me point blank, what do you want from me? And I said nothing, and she did not believe me.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, for years, I can't think of one thing I've asked her for.
Yeah.
And it's been probably 5 years. And what's funny is
it's been longer than that.
It's been longer than that.
Yeah.
And every year, I try to make sure I do something for her birthday. This year I missed it, and I'm so sorry. But I try to make sure I always do something for her birthday. I try to make sure I do something like during the year to pour into her. But I have never had to ask. She asked me the other day, Brandis, has Essence ever done a feature on you? And I said, no, they haven't ever done a feature on me. She said, send me a pitch letter. I'm going to get it through. Literally, this has been 6 years of building this relationship. I've never asked really her for anything because my point was to build a relationship with her.
Yeah.
And if I need advice, I can call her. But honestly, she's just somebody who I want in my corner.
But let's actually, this will be fun for you guys. We're going to back into how that all happened that day at Amy Ruth's.
Wow.
So if you listened to episode 1 of our podcast, you learned about how Brandis and I met each other at an event, and we built a relationship, and we were talking about what she was doing and what she was growing, and she was talking about the people that she wanted to meet, and that was this particular woman that I happened to have a close relationship with. And so what was interesting was that Brandis and I were having brunch one Saturday at Amy Ruth in Harlem, and the woman happened to call me because she was in the area, and I lived in Harlem at the time. And I said, oh my goodness, you have to come by because I'm with the young lady, Brandis, that was connecting with you. So I think it was very interesting because you were organically building a relationship with me while also having your targeted list of those influencers that you wanted to connect with. And you never know which relationships will be a bridge.
You never
know. So you can't leave any one of them void of that potential. You have to always, know when to plug in. And I think it's good to be honest about what your goals are, what your outcomes are, especially if you're with an equal.
Yeah.
And because Brandis and I consider each other equals, it's fair for us to have those conversations where I'm saying, girl, this is my list, these are my goals. And Brandis can open up and say, oh my gosh, I have a contact for that. Let me put together an email. Or, oh my gosh, I have this. And I just think that part is very important because you were already activating one relationship while targeting another.
Which was so interesting. And then they end up coming together.
And they came together full circle.
And this particular woman was somebody who, don't kill me if you hear this podcast. If she listens to this podcast, she might kill me later because she'll know I'm talking about her. But she's very adverse to strangers approaching her.
Well, imagine how nervous I felt telling her, come on, Amy Ruth.
Yeah.
She's going to slice my head off.
She is very adverse. So when I didn't know that. So what I did was I asked her out for lunch. Do you think she was going to go to lunch with me? Heck no.
But that was interesting when she got that text and that conversation. Yeah.
But what's funny though, Sib, is after that, what I did was when she wouldn't go to lunch with me, I sent lunch to her office. office. It cost me $100, which
was a lot back in that moment.
But me, I was working.
Yeah.
So I would go spend $100 on like Mac products. So what's the big deal? So I spent $100 and I sent lunch for 6 people to her office, like the wraps and stuff. And the note said, since you won't have lunch with me, I'm sending lunch to you. So she had emailed me back. So we had that kind of exchange going on. So by the time you hit her up, she was primed. She was like, okay, who in the
I gotta meet her,
because
that's what she said. Who the hell is this Brandis? Verbatim. That's how she rolls, and that's what she said. But sure enough, she understands now who this Brandis is and why.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think for what we need as like a start to how to build these relationships. How to build valuable relationships. You know, the number one thing that you said was make yourself difficult to ignore. That was first about establishing yourself as someone that people would even want to know. And then when we talked about targeting, who do you target when you're looking for new relationships?
Right.
You know,
and you want to target people that you want to sit at the table with as equals.
Being an equal. And then, you know, how to know when to activate those relationships. I mean, my big takeaway from that was to continue to give with minimal expectation except for wanting them to know your name, being at peace with that. And I think one of the major pieces that we will probably both agree on is do your homework.
Yes.
Do your homework as you're making that list of people that you desire to align with on some level around their mission, around your mission. Do your homework around who they are. You know, what type of philanthropic work they do. You know, who their kids are, what colors they tend to wear a lot, what type of jewelry.
Yes.
Get yourself, intimately do that Insta study, right? So you can target them in a way that makes you difficult to ignore.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you don't do your homework, you will get stacked in that junk mail like everyone else.
And I want to give our ladies some homework.
Oh, that's good.
I want to hear back from them. This topic, excites me like no other.
Yeah.
And so I want to hear from you guys. I want you to think of just one person that you want to target.
Yes.
And I want you guys to do something this week you do that makes you difficult to ignore.
Oh, that's great.
And I want you guys to report back to us on the Facebook page or tweet us or put it on our Instagram on what you did and what the result was from that.
Absolutely. I love that idea.
I want to hear.
Oh,
we want to hear back.
That's great.
We want to hear back, and we should.
I have a person on my list.
We should. Here's what we're gonna do, Sybil.
What are we gonna do?
I'm putting Sybil on the spot, y'all. The person who comes back with the best story, I'm gonna personally invite you to Harlem's Fashion Row Fashion Show during New York Fashion Week.
Nice.
To come with a girlfriend, and this is an invite-only event, and I will make sure that you have a seat.
I love it. That's so awesome.
So that's what we're gonna do.
I love it.
I want. So you guys come back to us with your stories. We cannot wait to hear them.
No, yeah, we need that.
And then when you get into town in New York, now we're not buying your plane ticket and we're not paying for your hotel room. However, we will meet you when you get here. So I think we should do lunch or dinner with them when they get here.
Yeah.
And you'll be sitting down at a New York Fashion Week show.
I would love to sit next to one of our new girlfriends.
Let's do it.
You?
Let's do it.
That is awesome. I'm so excited about this.
And I just put Sybil on the spot with that one. It just came to my head. I'm like,
but that's great.
We need to hear this.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
Yeah. And also, you never know as you're connecting with people on our Facebook page, you never know who is on that page, and you never know what influencer or what future equal is out there that's watching and paying attention to what you're saying or doing. So please, by all means, log on to the Great Girlfriends Facebook page and put your post about who you'd like to meet and why, that outcome that you want to create with your equal, right?
Absolutely.
I love it.
We could not end this podcast without thanking our amazing husbands.
Yes, thank you, Kwaku.
And thank you so much, Rich Daniel.
And our beautiful children. Thank you, Sam and Dylan.
And thank you, Miss Sky Daniel.
And thank you to all of you, Great Girlfriends, for trusting us as your go-to source for everything life, love, and laughter.
You can check us out on our social, on Instagram,
The Great Girlfriends,
on Twitter,
_Great GFS,
and on Facebook,
the Great Girlfriends.
And please make sure that you join our Facebook group, which is over 16,000 women strong.
Absolutely. And make sure you listen every single Wednesday on iTunes, Spotify, Podcast Bean, Podcast Republic, Google Play, and every other podcasting service.
Absolutely.
Be sure to post your questions, share with your friends. Keep listening and keep being a great girlfriend. I'm Sybil.
And I'm Brandon.
And we're signing off.
Peace.
Peace.